Municipal tax reform, my wife says my memory is not as good as it used to be, but I do not recall, prior to the last election, any reference to the government wanting a mandate to undergo the largest structural reform of municipal government in the province of New Brunswick for the last 50 years. I may have missed it. I don't think I did. And I don't think New Brunswickers had an opportunity to weigh in on that prior to the election, or even when the government, after getting elected, introduced the legislation. There was virtually no consultation. The consultation process, as has been the case with almost every consultation process with this government, was meaningless. It barely checked the box off as consultation at all. Fin report does not count as a consultation because the Fin report is, I think now, probably a couple of decades old, maybe older. A lot of the legislation that was brought in, I think a lot of the thinking behind the legislation, probably some of it you could say that it was derived from the Fin report. But if you asked the average New Brunswicker about the Fin report, you would get a look back like a deer caught in the headlights, and probably only 1 in 1,000 would have ever even heard of it. So no, it's not really relevant to anything that the government did. I believe that most people, including the People's Alliance, probably felt that a degree of reform would be beneficial, but without proper consultation and proper implementation, there was bound to be issues. There have been issues, and there's more issues to come. During that process, and I was in the legislature, I was working there, I watched this debate every day. The caucus members of the People's Alliance at the time would go to the government and they would say, listen, what's the rush? Why are you rushing this? This is difficult, it's complicated, it's important, it may need to be done, but if you're going to do it, let's do it right. What's the rush? The official opposition told them the same thing. Municipalities, mayors were telling them the same thing. They were hearing this from one end of the province to the other, but the government didn't listen. And if you asked them, well, what's going to happen here? They would say, well, don't worry. We have all the answers to your questions, and you're going to have all your answers before this takes effect in January. Well, that was BS, quite frankly. They didn't have the answers then. They don't have the answers today. And some of the answers that they do have, people are not going to like. And I'm going to go back, because it's important, I'm going to go back to the taxation aspect of it. When this was introduced, the sole purpose of what the Higgs government did with municipal reform was not to make municipal governance better. The purpose of the municipal reform was to download cost from the province onto municipalities. They increased the size of the municipalities, they decreased the numbers, because they wanted to increase the tax basis in these municipalities so that they would have more money to draw upon when it came to taxation. And the government is going to, I think the bomb is going to drop in January of 2025. That's been the indication from Minister Glenn Savoy. Their timing is not coincidental, despite all their faults. They do know the difference between before election and after election, and they have purposely put the most important and most expensive aspect of municipal reform off until after people have gone to the polls. That's typical of a New Brunswick government, or Liberal or Conservative party. That's politics as normal. That's what needs to be changed. People, I think, are going to get a real surprise in their next tax bill. Most municipalities, a few are handling it quite well. Most are struggling. When they get the added burden of vastly increased taxation, in my opinion, they're going to struggle, and they're going to struggle mightily. Some won't be able to do it, and they're going to have to make some very difficult choices. People are going to have to give up services, which are minimal in most areas, or they're going to pay through the nose. My fear is that it could be a combination of both, but it's going to be more so paying through the nose. That's going to make it more difficult for seniors to hang on to their homes. It's going to make it more difficult for young people to purchase a home and maintain it. The cost of taxation is going to be beyond their scope. It was needed, but as seems to be the case with this government, it was poorly thought out, poorly executed, and in no way, shape, or manner did it have the best interest of citizens at heart, or at the base of it. It was completely fiscally driven, as much of what this premier does is. It's all about the dollar and where he can save it for something else, and it doesn't concern him in the least the hardship that it puts on the people.